Meg, your performance is so truthful. Can you talk to me about sort of finding the balance between her genuine vibrancy and more of the disengaged moments?
I think that it's helpful that I really love loved Cora, because I think like it's easy to see her being sarcastic and mean and be like, she's such a big B, ITCH. Love her. You're like, oh, she's doing that because she's like protecting herself. She's lost a lot. So I
Mhm.
think in the moments where she's being a brat, I really love her. So I think I at least hope it comes across that she's has a big heart, and that she's only being like that because she's been hurt and has lost a lot. I think she just really wants to be loved, and she feels everything really deep. So I think it's easy to forgive her mean moments, especially because she's really funny. I
Yeah.
think it's really funny. You could sometimes be sarcastic, and I don't. If you don't have a mean heart, it's okay with me.
Well, no, absolutely. And I think that you, through your performance, that comes through so beautifully. Like um, whatever she could say, I mean, she says some really, awful things, but it's true. It's like you do forgive her in a way because you understand even before you, there's something that's so kind of complex about your performance that even before it's revealed the horrible tragedy that she went through, you can still see that there's a mask there. And you balance that so well.
That's so nice. That's really nice to hear. I think it was really helpful to have the best director in the world. Is one of the funniest people, but also one of the most earnest, sweet. So it's like she was so good at directing those scenes and letting me like put myself in it.
Yeah.
And I think like I try to put my heart, my sweetheart into it, because I think
Mhm.
I'm sweet. And I think it makes the mean moments forgivable because I really love Cora a lot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I could feel that. And I fell in love with her. And I went through such a journey. Like, I was like, gosh, with the whole the dog incident, I was like, how am I going to forgive her this time? And, Hannah, I would love to know when you first read the script, what initially drew you to be not only fall in love with this story, but be protective over Cora to, bring her to life in a way where we could forgive her and sort of be on her side in a way, even when it was hard for us.
Well, Cora immediately reminded me of a couple of my dearest friends, um, who I know are not for everybody, but I also know, I realized that one thing they had in common was they were the two people I knew who had suffered the most like concentrated loss,
Mhm.
but also the two people I knew who had the best sense of humor, um, and like the closest relationship to fun before they suffered that loss. And I happened to get close to them during a period of really chaotic, um, prolonged grief, just giving away the whole story. So when I read the script, and the script was, we worked on it, um, for a bit with Rhiannon, and it was interesting because not much in the writing actually had to change, but it really was just about the open relationship when I first read it. And I sent it to my producer Mallory, and I was like, "Oh, I love this character so much. I have to see this person on screen." And Mallory only has a really healthy relationship with people. She loves a stable person. And she was like, tell me more about your love for this person. And I was like, well, she can't let go of this relationship. She's carrying around this thing that we can all see is dead, but she can't
Yeah.
see it. She can't let it go. And Marla was like, oh, interesting. I I get now that you got that. Let's see if we can pull it out a little bit. And so when we brought that up with Rhiannon, the writer, and our co-producer Tristan, who brought me the script, um,
Oh, I thought this was. I was like, is she trying to give that to me, or is she ready for a big sip? Thank you.
It's like, are we double fisting here? Okay, yeah.
We just found this really like it just really resonated with Rhiannon, and we learned that her own reasons for leaving Portland did have some heavier undertones.
Mhm.
And so then it was a really quick rewrite because it actually was all in there. It just wasn't explicit.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's why I loved her so much.
It's so true. I feel like I kept thinking, and I think like to go back to your performance, Meg, it's so honest. And I feel like the story, I've been thinking a lot about, it's so simple, but I've been thinking a lot about just like the importance of honesty in storytelling. And I feel like with Cora too, it's like she's unable to sort of be honest with herself, which we see throughout the film, and we see that that's preventing her from kind of healing fully, or like going on the journey to really start healing. And that comes through in the humor and the story. And yeah, I thought it was beautiful, truly, and very relatable. And I sense that I think, yeah, in so many ways. Have your perceptions of friendships and or the cores in your lives changed after making this film?
Well, I will say, I already loved Cora, but then by the end of filming, I was like, I was kind of like, she's right about everything. And well, it's so unfair of everyone to treat her like this. But I think that was getting a little lost in the character a bit. But then I think I just really I think what it was is I was like, oh, this is going to be a really funny character. Like, I can't wait to play kind of like this cringe musician. And then once we were doing it, I was like, wow, she has such a big heart, and there's so much more to Cora than reading the script. I was like, this is so funny and sweet and like cool and queer, and like I'm so excited to do like a cool gay movie like this. And then once we really got into it, I was like, oh my God, this person is really like hurt. And I think something that I'm learning in my life and from this movie is that people just love in different ways, and just because they don't communicate like me doesn't mean that they aren't still feeling all the feelings, just because they're not like, I love everyone and everyone's sweet and like you're the slay queen. That they're not experiencing love in a really big way. Like, I think Cora experiences really big feelings. She's just has a different personality than me in my life. But I think me and the character both feel everything really big, and sometimes we'll make big moves because of it.
Yeah.
But I think they're a little more dangerous than mine.
Yeah, of course.
I think one of my favorite moments of Meg in the movie for Cora, because it's kind of like the first private moment you get where you really get to see, you're like, oh, she sees everything. She when she's disassociating, there's like a willfulness to that, but when she's in bed with Travis and we see her all by herself, you're like, oh, okay, you are like, you're conscious of this whole thing you're doing. And it's been helpful for me to remember that part of the Coras in my life, that it's like, while it may be conscious, it's not their intention to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
They might be conscious of their experience and the fact that they're out of control, but it's coming from a totally
yeah. Coming from like a good place. Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting. It really, well, I was really reflecting on sort of my friendships and during this, and yeah, it's really interesting because also it's like, but you also understand what's so great about the film too is that you understand from all different perspectives. You understand too that people have to put up their own boundaries when it comes to her, and And that's not necessarily a bad thing or a good thing. And it's okay for friendships to sort of come to an end or to challenge friendships or whatever it is. But yeah, but last but not least, this has been so lovely. Thank you for your time today. I just loved all the music in this film also. And, and there's so many great lyrics also, like throughout the whole film. One that really stuck with me was the opening song. I believe it's from the Maybe Nots, just such a great band title, by the way. Was "You Remind Me Life is Terrifying." I thought that was such a good lyric. But do you both have favorite lyrics from any of the songs throughout the film?
Well, Mia Falk did all the music, and she's just my favorite musician. And I think the opening song is my favorite song of all time. And I'm like, oh my God, people are gonna freak out. Like, I think the opening of that song is so, like, when she first played that song, I listened to it every day, 800 times a day. I think every lyric from that song it's so good. It's so
Okay.
it's also like, I think the times in my life I've been like fully really single have been really romantic. So I think that song reminds me of that, of like, she's like, the song is like, protecting your house or yourself. And then she's like, but she's also singing about, I want like this big romance. And it's kind of like, oh, she wants that like for herself still, even though, I think of that song of very like, I'm single, right? And like, I'm protecting myself. But it's also, she's still like, the lyrics are very romantic to me. And it's kind of like a very big self-love song. And I think that's what the movie's about too, is that like, I think the ultimate act of love is like loving yourself. And I think that's what Cora needs to learn to do. And I think that song's just so beautiful because it's still romantic. It's like, I think people sometimes are like, I'm single and there's no romance. And it's like, I'm sad. And then that song's so like, love yourself the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mia sent us like demos from the album that she was working on. And my music supervisor and I listened to it, and it was that song that I was like, we need this song for an opening. We need to see the band because it was talking about all the romance stuff that Cora deals with, but also I couldn't stop thinking about the like ghosts in Cora's head.
Yeah.
Get out of my house. And then we worked with Mia to write the music for the songs in the script. So for all of Cora's original songs, Rhiannon wrote the lyrics. And then we wound up licensing a bunch of songs from that, a few older songs, and then we had her do the score. Because I just like the idea of her like haunting and kind of holding the movie.
Yeah.
And the two of them they had the best chemistry. And then we got to use that time together with Mia teaching Meg how to play guitar and working together. When it came to the bigger scenes, Meg already had this like sense memory of Daisy in that relationship.
Yeah.
That's all the times we've watched that opening scene to make me like remember like right before some big scenes, I would watch like the clip of us singing together and I would really get so sad.
Oh, we also did, we shot the video for the opening sequence day 0. So we always had little clips from that to go back to.
Yeah.
Back in her backstory.
And that day was so fun that it felt like we were a band I do have the memory of us. Like it felt really real to be like
we were a band. Like I was in a band and
we did have a lot of chemistry. Like everyone in the band was really sweet. So it was like easy to connect to like her band.
Well, that's first of all, it's such a powerful and smart choice, that opening. And it's heartbreaking because Meg, we see the joy from Cora, just being, you know, within those memories, like being with Daisy, being in the band. It's so genuine, it's so pure, and it's so interesting because you don't really know the kind of reason behind the heartbreak at first until the end. But it's just like you already get such a sense watching it that you're watching something very precious and beautiful and genuine when you see that opening. And you immediately get so pulled in. And I think it's really helpful too. Just like you went back and kind of watched those scenes. I went back and I would, every time that like Cora did something a little shitty, I did kind of go back. I kind of went back and I remembered that opening, and I remembered the pure joy and that sweetheart that you were talking about that comes through so much in that opening montage. And I was like remembering that girl and being like, where is she? Like, it's heartbreaking that like she's been lost, and like, why has she been lost? And then you kind of come back to it at the end, and it's really beautiful.
Same,
Our favorite audience.
I